Hey, what's up? This is Del Jones from the band PunkBordello, and you are watching the PunkBordello podcast. I want to thank you for being here, and I also want to mention that the next song that we release is called Hotter. It releases on all streaming platforms May 6th of 2025, and you can find that early before release for $5 on Bandcamp. You can listen to it about 3 times before you'll hit a paywall. But that's just fair game. If you want to see it and download it before it releases, you can give us $5 or whatever you want to support the podcast, to support us as a band. And then you can also do the same with the next release, Take the L, which normally would be like June 16th. And that one would be $10 or pay what you want whenever or whatever you want to throw our way. But we want to thank you for being here, listening to the local underground artists, the heart of our city, our country. When we sit down with this next guest, I really hope you enjoy it. Share it on your socials, help us grow. We have some really killer guests that are going to be coming up, and I'm really excited to do this podcast. So thanks everybody for watching. Keep doing that shit Chicago style, you know what I'm saying? All right. Hello, welcome everybody to the PunkBordello podcast. We are here with my guest Michael Bielle of Fighting Godot, and we don't have the most time in the world, so we're just gonna go ahead and dive right into it. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. It is my pleasure, and why don't we get right into it? When did Fighting Godot start, and what is your background as a musician? How long have you been at it?
Absolutely. So my background as a musician, I started to play drums when my dad got me a drum set, a little kid drum set when I was 5 years old, and I've been addicted to music ever since. Started playing guitar when I was about 15, started singing when I was about 10, and decided to kind of put those two things together when I was about 17, and I just started writing music and doing the solo work. I did solo work for as long as I could when I was a little younger, and in bars and restaurants and whatnot, just kind of gigging out as much noise I could make with the guitar and one voice. But it was only in the last few years when I really started to really kind of give it my all and kind of go after what I really wanted to do with my life, and that is just make music and have people enjoy it.
And when you say that you had this moment, that I guess you could call it a moment of clarity. That's what I've called it in my own life. But tell me about what was going on in that moment and what brought you out, towards the kind of unapologetic attitude.
Absolutely. So I was working for a bank, and I was trying to work my way up the corporate ladder, which was very difficult having not graduated college. But I gave it my best shot, and just stepping into an elevator with someone wearing like a Patagonia vest and just like it's all about performance. I realized like it just was not for me. Like I don't care how much money you make, how much money I make. It's just that's what that world is all about. And I realized I couldn't continue to fake it. I couldn't pretend to be someone who's driven by sales numbers and making a boatload of money. So
I want to bring something up because you brought up something I actually have been kind of thinking about the last couple of days, and that is that that whole rat race mentality. Like this country, the United States, like it has a culture, and the culture is to take your culture away from you, take your soul away from you. And the thing is like I've seen it's not like it's like, that uh unbeknownst to us. We all kind of like recognize it in one way, shape, or form. But
Mhm.
the thing is like this industry, like what it sells is the feeling of like almost having made it. Like, and it kind of just applies to it applies in music, but it also applies in the textbook rat race kind of jobs like banking or retail or this that or the other thing. And the what they're selling is like the feeling of having almost made it, but not quite. And it's dangerous. It's the most dangerous and the most kind of prevalent in music because it's like the industry that is the most like kind of just openly greasy besides maybe like, you know, I don't know, porn or automotives. That it it gets a bad rap, but it's like in everything. And so it leads you to this place eventually. If I feel like everybody to a certain extent, we want to believe better of the world, but unfortunately the harsh reality of life and the world, one day it's just gonna smack you right in your fucking shit and kind of spin you right around and have you realize like, wow, oh, I could try to impress everybody who values fucking, lavish bullshit, or I can do something that actually internally makes me feel good. And at least the approach that I take in my own personal music is that, I always want an element of truth to it. If it's not something that has happened, I always want it to uh, be something that I want to come to fruition. So it
Yeah.
leads to me having more of a positive outlook on things. And then if you mind your programming, because that's what music, television, entertainment is generally, you manifest a better outcome for yourself by using, I mean, songs or spells or curses or mantras, So you
Yeah.
tell yourself something enough, you sing it every day, eventually you bring it to fruition. And whether that is subconscious or, literal and metaphysical, doesn't really matter. It's just that's what I've noticed. That's the formula. And so now that's kind of what I just dig my heels into.
Yeah.
So I am glad that you are kind of on the bandwagon of kind of looking around and recognizing like, oh, this shit is not what it seems to be. And I welcome you to, a better plane of existence because it only works if you believe in it.
Absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
the biggest thing about it.
Hmm.
Uh, so sorry. Anyway, continue with where you were at this point in your journey. What is this where fighting Godot starts to come into play?
Yeah, yeah. So it really, I had this resurgence and I had this moment of clarity back in, I want to say 2022,
Hmm.
maybe probably late 2021, where I was just like, I was working for the bank and I just didn't really have any direction. And I knew the logical next step in my career would be to keep working up this ladder, but I just was not feeling it at all. Um, and I thought to myself, I can I can move forward one of two ways. I can continue to lie to myself. I can continue to just go for the easy paycheck, basically essentially be the epitome of selling out. Or I could get back into music. Because I took a long 10-year break from it. I could
Hmm.
get back into music and finally give this one more push, one more shot, and uh,
Yeah.
and here we are.
No.
So
Well.
basically in 2022, I met my good friend Louis, and I actually was auditioning for a band that I saw on Facebook, the Facebook Chicago Musicians Group. It's if you're a musician in the Chicagoland area, it's an amazing group. I highly recommend it. But I met this kid. He seemed like a really good kid, really great head on his shoulders. He is a really great kid. I shouldn't say he seemed like it.
Yeah.
But I auditioned for his band. It was still during COVID, so um, I decided not to do an in-person audition, and I took a back seat and said, let's actually, I sent in my audition tape. decided to take a back seat and not progress to the next round of auditions. That band ended up breaking up, but Louis hit me up out of the blue and was like, "Hey, my band broke up. Do you want to jam?" I said, "Absolutely. Why not? What do I have to lose?" So I brought some of my original music to Louis at Fort Knox, which is a local music rehearsal spot.
So
And
real quick, I'm gonna throw this right in there. I actually, so I lived in the parking lot of Fort Knox for about 6 months in Chicago, and that's kind of the
no,
whole concept of the album that I'm really working on. So like this,
dude,
the journey, the struggle to survive, the getting scared when you fucking hear police sirens going off, like thinking that any of it could be for you in some way, shape, or form. Just exploring all those feelings, exploring all those sounds, exploring that whole idea. But I know Fort Knox well, is all I was trying to
yeah,
say.
yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's I'm excited to hear this album, dude.
Yeah,
When does it
I
drop?
mean, so that's the thing. We are in the future now. It's 2025. So what I've noticed the most leverage and success in is not all of it, because I've spent a couple $100s at this point, like not thousands, but at least a couple $100
Yeah,
in trying to do like meta ads.
yeah,
They don't work. And then there's the whole other side of trying to do like playlisting campaigns or curator campaigns, like through Submit Hub, Groover, Muso Soup. I tried all three of them, and it's all disingenuous at best. So, I mean, that's another point of like why I wanted to start this podcast in the first place, because I have to promote my music doing at least something that's fucking real. And I'm so tired of the fucking the paywalls, the bullshit, the fucking, you know what I mean?
yeah.
My girlfriend, she's also a musician. I won't go into that just yet, but she was telling me about a previous musician that she had known, and he's a nepo baby. He's got plenty of money, so he gets confronted with this like label offer that asked him for 10 grand up front, and I mean, must be nice to be able to jump in on that, but the rest of
Yeah.
us, you know what I mean, have plenty of talent and soul and no fucking money to put it in front of people. And
Yeah.
the other thing, this is another. I wrote a song about this. It's called "Big Deal," but it's not even like close to being on the radar just yet. It's like
Yeah.
kind of just finished the master and everything. It's kind of just in queue at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to come out in like October, November, some shit like that. Maybe even August. I don't know. But the point of the song is that's how they oversaturating the market is how they kind of took our power away. So the only kind of way to counter that is by being quality talent, because that's also kind of something that I think the gatekeepers, the promoters, and everything kind of dropped the ball on. They started just taking anything that would get people in the doors. So cover bands, tribute bands. Now it's like almost cringe to be yourself, and it's like I was fronting a tribute band, and I won't name them just out of like professionalism and respect, but I mean it was anything but going down at these fucking shows. And the one thing I noticed is that they prided themselves in hiding their identity within the identity of someone else. And it's like, so for me to walk up and be able to be okay with being myself was like a fucking problem to them, because it
Yeah.
reminded them of all the things that they were trying to ignore about themselves. And it didn't even matter if I was like, no, dude, like you guys are good at what you do. Like you should make your own music too. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they didn't like hearing that shit, which is just like, nah, fuck you. I don't. Yeah, all right. If you want to sit here and play dress up, then that's fine. But I'm here to actually like work and do shit and actually try to make some sort of name for myself. I don't want to just hide behind the identity of somebody else. And there's not to be confused with like, I still like playing covers. I
Of
don't mind
course.
tribute bands if they're good. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just like you got to learn where one stops and the other starts, because there comes a point when you cross over the threshold into fucking psychosis. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I mean, that's a someone might take that as like shit talking, and I just honestly, I don't care. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say when it comes to that, because we're kind of like trying to salvage and pick up the parts of a community that was destroyed by COVID, and then on top of that, also like, I mean, it's been destroyed by social media and the whole plot to kind of take power away from artists. And I think the thing that's really cool is that everything is kind of gravitating more towards it's gravitating more towards full bands. It's gravitating more towards integrating rock music and this, that, and the other thing into everything that's popular. Like everything is trying to be what the underground has always been. Like,
Yeah.
um, and it's really funny to like see that, Doja Cat or Bella Porch, none of them can play without a fucking live band because everybody's like, this is fucking boring. If they
Mhm.
just go up there with their fucking tracks like they did for at least like fucking 6 to 7 years as industry standard. They
Absolutely.
thought they could kind of get away with the whole idea of like not taking a full band on tour, or, you know what I mean, just
Yeah.
creating their own industry plants. And the fact of the matter is that you can't take short form content creators and turn them into actual artists where it's convenient.
Yeah.
You have to have actual artists and actually develop them. And now they're getting, I mean, at least my own personal lashing out, because they tried to take the easy road. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
kind of something that's always just been fucking common knowledge in the past, is that you have to develop an artist. The first thing that they come out with that they might even have like all confidence in might not be the fucking one. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I think the RZA of Wu-Tang Clan, he had a record label before he actually fucking he had a record deal, I should say, under a different name before he found Wu-Tang. But by the time, he got taken advantage of, and then by the time he found Wu-Tang, he had been dropped by the label, and like now he knew the game and can actually work it. So they're almost like just giving away all the leverage that they have by being fucking dickheads. And
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
really funny to watch it fucking blow up in their face. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah.
Because
Totally.
like the more they fuck over the local artists, the more the message kind of like intensifies, and then you kind of find people, just everyday people on the street, just being willing to support a more local artist before they give a shit about what a celebrity has to say. And that's actually quite awesome, because that's kind of like a new direction. We're averting into the other direction, and it's indicative of like, us moving away from the establishment. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, before, I've already gone off on a tirade here, but I just thought, like, I've wanted to say that on this podcast, but you just brought up the perfect circumstances for me to go off on that
Yeah. For sure.
little rabbit hole. But so Fighting Godot, what was the first song that you guys came out with?
So, Fighting Godot, the first song that I officially dropped, and I kind of went back and forth on whether or not I wanted this to just be my solo. This started off as just my solo project, right? Left to Right was slowing
Mm-hmm.
down. We were toying with a hiatus because we had this revolving door of personnel, and it was just me and Louis the whole time. And so we decided to take a hiatus from Left to Right. Now, during that hiatus, I realized one of the things that Louis and I have. Um, I don't want this to come off as like we argued about it, because we didn't. And we have such a great relationship, me and Louis.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really great guy, and I really encourage you all to check him out on Instagram, and maybe you can throw his link up on there. But one thing that him and I differed on is the speed at which with the speed and the intensity at which we wanted to approach music. And
Mm-hmm.
um, I feel like I'm 35 years old. He's
Mm-hmm.
20. I got 10 years on him. He's like
Right. Yeah.
25 at the time. He was 23, and I just felt like I do not have the luxury of time anymore like he does. And it's
Yeah.
like, I need to get this shit out. I need to make these dreams happen now, And so that's why I'm slamming my foot on the gas pedal,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I just decided to kind of take matters into my own hands and start Fighting Godot as a solo
So
project.
Can I say something about your perspective right there? So this is coming from somebody. My background, I've been a drummer and a guitar player since I was 6 and 7 years old. It's never been anything but music. The only time I ever really tried to venture out and do something outside of that was to make more money for the bigger picture, for music. So I've worked like damn near like every fucking job there is because I'm just a bastard kid that didn't come from any fucking money, really.
Yeah.
So that being said, like, I mean, I find power in that. So don't take that as a negative thing to anybody who's listening. Like, oh, why you look at yourself like that? Like, because that's the fucking truth, bro. That's like what the situation was, what it blossomed into. And now I own it in terms of like what kind of perspective it has given me for the music, for everything else. But that's where I come from. And it's never been anything besides that for me. And so that's why I'm able to tell you the timing doesn't matter, especially with social media. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, I'm sure you're aware of those those old like British rappers. Like, they're literally old and senile, and they're fucking dropping like viral hits, like fucking just dropping bars. Like and that's kind of like evidence that it can happen at any point in time. The main thing that's important, and I'd say this for any band, because my goal was never to play every instrument of most songs myself. That was never my goal. I always wanted to be playing guitar and be left alone, or playing drums and being left alone. I didn't want to have to front a band. I didn't want to have to do this or that and the other thing. But the perspective from having been in all those situations gives me a little bit more kind of moral compass to be able to be kinder to those people when they are playing my music. And so there is like a little bit of value in that. However, what I will say is I used to look at it like I've got to be famous by a certain point, or I got to make it by this point. And the thing is like, we really kind of have to, as musicians, like take a step back and define success for ourselves.
Absolutely.
First, like, what would that look like? Because if you're just going to say something that's like headlining Madison Square Garden, like, where is there any goal along the way for you to like, yeah, I'm doing it? Because success is not just one giant victory. It's a bunch of small victories that lead to bigger victories.
Absolutely.
And so the real victory is being able to continue to do it every day and stay together. And the most difficult, the reason why I had to, perform a lot of the instruments that are recorded on some of my songs, or most of my songs that are available, is because I couldn't align with schedules, egos, and personalities, maybe even lifestyles, in terms of like some of the people that were more keen on just drinking beers and playing guitar. And while that's all fun, I still have ambition, I still have drive. But what I've learned and the advice that I've gotten from the more acclaimed people that I've talked to, both on and off this podcast, what it comes down to is, for one thing, not taking everything so seriously, but taking it seriously enough. And then the other thing is also just staying in the game. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about like a band that has been together forever, like Rush or Green Day, like they're three pieces who all have been lifelong friends. As soon as they found each other, that was it. They don't really have to worry about like conflict as much as the conflict usually happens with like Billy Joe having an episode, but that's also great PR for them because that's what's expected of them. For all you know, that was fucking planned. But you know what I mean? When you look back at it, you like, how do they interact with each other? Well, there's famous stories of Rush literally just only smoking weed, playing video games in their hotel rooms. So, you know what I mean? Like, that is the kind of musician that kind of gets ahead in this day and age, because we don't have the luxury of being able to live fast like that, like they did in the 80s, like Motley Crue or Guns N' Roses. That's just not a luxury to us. Not a lot of us, especially with the more authentic art, I would say, are less well connected than ever when it comes to like nepotism and shit like that. Like, the people with the real authentic music and message, they're not the ones that are handed everything and can do nothing with it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's difficult, but again, the moral of the story is that you have to define success for yourself, because if I could just if I could sell out like theaters regularly and just that was my living, is all I would be very satisfied with that. I'm sure a lot of people would. But even if it's just like I'm able to make my full income, that's how, off of music, that is success to me. If I'm able to have time to contribute towards like my family and stuff like that, and then to have some sort of fucking life outside of the job that I'm expected to do, but that job that I'm expected to do is still just me playing my songs on stage, or just playing songs in general on stage. I'm not really against the idea of covers or tributes, mind you. It's just they're against the idea of me, because I'm not going to go up there and sing it badly on purpose, because that is fucking retarded, bro. I don't give a fuck, bro. Nobody is going to sit there and tell me like, oh yeah, you need to sing like Billy Joe Armstrong. You need to like emulate after him and sing all of his songs exactly like him. And it's like, yeah, but it sounds better because it's so like, the thing about that gig is that they were so close anyway that like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I was just singing it normally. It's like, oh, that sounded incredible. But you need to be more nasally and more fucking like grotesque for no reason. I'm like, that's not me, bro. Like, I don't. Yeah. I'm all for the show. I'm all for hyping everybody up, and I did the job to a T up until that. But they wanted more fucking outrageous extra jokes, and they wanted me to like kind of do everything to a T. And I'm like, I feel like if Green Day was looking at you, they would fucking look right away. That'd be cringe. If I saw somebody trying to be me, you know what I mean? Even if it is really just for the other people, but it's not really for the other people because it was for them. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. And it becomes an issue of vanity there at a certain point, especially when they won't even talk to any of the fucking people that they're playing for. Like, they're so high and mighty. It's like, bro, the fuck is wrong with you? You're still nobody. You might have been able to fill this room. You might be a little bit further on the totem pole, but like, you're not playing any of your own songs. And you know what I mean? Like, you're against being yourself actively. So it's like, nobody's really winning. Yeah. You just were able to get people indoors, and now you're just being a dick to them because you don't want to talk to them, which is fucking, it's fucked up. You're not. Yeah. The whole I'm a rock star ego persona is like, it's played out, it's dumb. And if I see anybody who acts like that, I'm immediately like, you don't deserve it. Like,
yeah, I agree.
If you can't sign a fucking napkin for somebody who thinks that who is beside themselves enough to believe in you as a total stranger, and you won't sign the fucking napkin, and they're giving you like free coffee on your way to the next gig type shit, you're a fucking asshole, bro. It's not like karma will find you and it will keep you exactly where you're at. So it's humility. It's being able to rise to the occasion and actually put yourself on the stage and give people a show, because people want to have a good time. They're rooting for you, as Mark SS of Night Spice told us a couple episodes back. But it's also staying in the game, which is what Sugarfoot, Jonathan Moffat, the drummer for Michael Jackson for over 20 years, that's what he told me. It's most of it is just staying in the game, being able to hang, and not taking everything so seriously that it has to be the end all be all of existence. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. You don't want to be walked all over. I've been in a million toxic band situations. But if you find one where you can navigate things and you can get through shit without, everything becoming a fucking problem. Like, the thing is problems are going to find you anyway. So I am of the opinion and the outlook that I'm not out there trying to find them and bring them in anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, if you come, I consider it a privilege for anybody to be willing to play my fucking songs live. So when it comes to my bandmates, like, it's people who they're my best friends. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, we're chilling. We'll fucking have our fun before the show and play the show, and then fucking we also can ask each other for help every once in a while. We're not fucking like selfish dicks to each other,
Right.
you
Yeah, of
know?
course. Of
Like,
course.
this is our community, this is our band, this is our family. So like when you cultivate that both in your fandom and in your band, you know, you create something that isn't just going to go away tomorrow. And that's what's important, is longevity and sustainability.
Absolutely.
Always make sure your guys get paid,
Mhm.
and then always, always make sure that you can just stay in the game and
Yeah.
keep doing it. If it's something that you couldn't do for 10 years, then it's not sustainable. You got to figure a different way. It's like the same difference with this podcast. It's like, you know, a lot of people would say that and what you see is like your numbers move on social media, and everything is a numbers game, but it all moves on social media when you play a show, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you want to be touring as much as you can, but the thing is like touring is really difficult if you don't have the numbers to negotiate guarantees. That is like your biggest leverage now,
Right.
which is
Yeah.
fucking retarded because it does not translate. It
Yeah.
is not like a tit for tat kind of situation. You can have a huge following and not be able to bring a single person into a show, and that is like a very difficult. That's why, as another credit to cover bands and tribute bands, because at least they can make their money as far as the bar is concerned.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to play through when you're an original artist. You really have to value the art, which means you got to take time. Like, I mean, like the one thing I didn't want to do is kind of get back to the whole like traditional stability kind of thing while working on this record, but that has kind of turned out to be the best thing for me because I'm able to just kind of get my system locked in, grind out tracks, and then by the time it's all said and done, I'll have the next 2 years worth of like releases taken care of, and then I can focus back, and take the attention over to the live setting, and then we can fucking book more shows. We can book a year in advance. We can work out getting shit, set. We have a little bit of merch, but like we don't have any kind of clout or any kind of it would literally just be like the most random person like asking me for a shirt, and then we make it real quick and ship it to them.
Yeah.
There's no like kind of it's literally just like DIY.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But that tells me that if I don't have, you know, orders ringing off the hook, if I don't have shows coming at me left and right, then that's not necessarily what I need to be expending my energy on. What I need to be expending my energy on is making better, higher quality music first,
Yeah.
because that is the most important thing about our bands and why we're doing what we do, is to pay attention to the art, because everything is getting lost, and authenticity is the way forward. Live bands are the way forward.
Absolutely.
Because everything is polished and perfect now. So everything has been fucking done to the shiniest caliber. You can take you can take somebody who can't even fucking write his own lyrics or sing and fucking turn him into a superstar. So at this point, it's
Crazy.
going back the other way.
Mhm.
And while that's great, it is also more incentive to focus your attention on making sure that the song you're making is worth a shit in the beginning.
Absolutely.
And because that is the greatest thing, because it just took it took the emphasis off of pristine quality and put it on musicianship.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
It still has to move that way, but I think we just kind of went off here. But so fighting Godot, the first song that you guys wrote,
Yeah.
what was that called?
So that was the first. I put out the first. So this was when it was just me. Um, this is when it was just me as a solo artist, right? So
Right.
after Left to Right, before I expanded Fighting Godot out to a band, I dropped this EP that was kind of getting back to my folk roots, because I love folk music. Just like I said, I came up just playing an acoustic guitar in little coffee shops, and I made as much cool, fun noise with an acoustic guitar as one person can do.
Yeah.
So I dropped this first EP called Here Comes the Apostate, and it's all acoustic. It's me on everything with the exception of a little bit of bass. I think my producer jumped in and laid down a bass track or two. But this EP really goes back to the type of music, the one type of music that I am truly passionate about, which is folk music, which is a really nice contrast to SO or Significant Other, which is my second EP that I dropped, which is a really nice exploration into the more pop punk side, into the more
Yeah.
emo punk rock, whatever you want to call it, because it's nowadays labels are so misconstrued and whatever.
I've always resented the term emo because I was very hard into punk in that whole world. And the thing is like a lot of the shit got kind of like the line started getting blurred back in the MySpace days. And that would be usually coming from people who were into like different kind of music, and they would just be, oh, you're emo, you're one of those emo guys, and it would be like patronizing, you know what I mean? So you'd be like, no.
Yeah.
I'm into punk. Like I'm into music that'll punch you in your fucking teeth.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And dude, that's how I feel about. I mean, I can go off on. Well, I guess this is a safe space to go off on. I've always believed that real punk music. It's like, yes, do I do punk in today's understanding of punk? Sure. That's why I always clarify it's more pop punk or punk rock, because punk is like Crass, like those guys are punk, Crass,
and
Rancid, and like these OGs. And I know a lot of people are pissed off at the Sex Pistols, that they think they're industry plants, and Johnny Rotten is a douchebag and everything because he's all MAGA now, which absolutely he is a douchebag. But like, I still bought tickets to go see them in Minneapolis when they come, because I want to see the 2-hour show, so I can hear them play Bodies live, and I can hear them play Anarchy in the UK. Like I'm just so thrilled, because that is the first, like, punk got watered down so much over the last 30-40 years, because I feel like it's gone, the message has gone from anti-establishment, and that's obviously, we all know that's kind of where punk came from. It's
become a costume people fucking wear.
Yeah, exactly. But now I feel like it's gone with things like emo and pop punk, and you look at like the Wonder Years and Hot Mulligan. Now they do bring in the emotional impact, and they do deal with real emotions, and it's not just let's burn down the White House or whatever. But now it's like, hey, let's talk about these really dark feelings that I have. And I think that's a beautiful thing, but it's also kind of a double-edged sword, because it's like, do you call that emo? Do you still call it punk? It still has those same roots that punk has.
The thing is like, you can't really call that, like, then you're calling all music emo, because all music is
absolutely
to a certain extent, with exception to party songs. It's all half of music is fucking it's emotional. You know what I mean? Are you gonna try and tell me that, like, what is it, Cleaning Out the Closet by Eminem, that's not an emotional song?
That's a great point. That's a really great point.
You know what I mean? Like, and
art
so
is emotion, right?
The thing is like, that term emo, it always felt like it came from a place of judgment, like negative judgment from people who were trying to bully you. And so now it's become like this patronizing kind of thing where some people own it because they're like, oh yeah, I love emo shit. And it's like, they don't realize what emotion that fucking term used to evoke if you were a fan of music. Because back in the days, we live in a time now where everybody can listen to everything, and that's like baseline normal. You know what I mean? But back in the day, you listened to your music, and those people that listened to those music and dressed how they dressed were your people, whether you met each other before or not. You know, like I remember one of my favorite concerts that I've always that I've ever been to was seeing Motorhead at the Congress Theater in Chicago in 2013. And no, was it 2013? Yeah, I was about a sophomore in high school. That sounds about right. But so the thing is like the crowd and the community was even better than seeing Motorhead themselves, because it was loud as fuck, loud as a jet engine. My ears were ringing for like fucking 2 weeks afterwards.
Yep.
And then fucking, but everybody in the crowd, they were either punks or they were bikers, and some of them got into like fucking nasty fights and shit.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But there was something like super romantic about all of these people coming in and nobody stepping in for like any of the fights, because that was just like damn near a safe place to, you know what I mean, have that kind of aggression against somebody that you oppose. I can't even like explain it like any better than that, although I really want to. But it's like, you know, everybody came for this music. You know what I mean? And then I remember I was trying to make my way up, you know, before the opening bands went on. So making my way up to the front of the stage. And, you know, I just see like all these people like who I wouldn't expect, like minorities and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, I'm mixed myself, so I say that loosely, but, you know, everybody from every walk of life had on the same kind of like, you know, like studs and leather jackets and fucking, you know, ripped clothing and shit. And like, that was like the first time I actually felt like I was home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot of comfort in that community.
And the other thing is like a lot of these people that wear punk as this costume and have like these very anti-punk kind of beliefs and claim to still kind of, you know, be in on it. A lot of them don't even realize what that feeling is like to be marginalized. I came up, you know, post 9/11, and you know, I'm of Middle Eastern descent. And I won't give anybody the satisfaction of answering that fucking question right now, but I had to deal with, I mean, if you were Middle Eastern and you went to middle school during the time I went to middle school, you were fucking bullied about it. If anybody knew what you were, or you were visibly brown, you know, you're getting like all kinds of different fucking, you know, dumbass jokes, you know, and this was back when bullying was still a thing, so I'd still get bullied. You know what I mean? And fucking eventually this music was what gave you the power to either fight back in some way, shape, or form, where it gave you the power to not let them have power over you. And so you could continue to go about your day and do your shit. And yeah, maybe you still gotta mess with the same people, but you know, it gave you strength. It gave you the motivation. And then like going to a show like the Motorhead show was like walking into a place that is your home for the first time, where you actually feel that community, where nobody's judging you based on the music you like, what you look like, whether you're nerdy or this, that, or the other thing. Nobody gives a fuck. You know what I mean? We're all there literally to mosh and fucking let it out. And the thing is like,
that's the importance of live music nowadays too, because you're not going to get that from just push and play on Spotify. You know, you're not going to get that.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I really, one of the things that kind of drives me is that I want to, like, all these people that use the alt lifestyle as a costume, and then they go to like, they support only like EDM or fucking music that was made off of that was made solely in a laptop, I should say, because obviously I use a laptop to record music, but I mic most of the shit up. Like, unless there's like a really complicated unless there's like something really simple that I can program the drums on just the way that I would play them, you know, then I'm not gonna fucking spend 3 hours just miking up the kit. Then I might program the drums. But if it's a little too complicated, then it becomes less time consuming to mic up the kit. So it's a practicality versus, you know what I mean, sheer desire kind of thing, because I also am trying to move the needle along a little bit faster, and be pragmatic. But I mean, the point is like, I really want these people who just wear it as a costume, like to kind of at least embrace the values, you know, of what it was about. And not be so quick to judge. Because what's funny is that I feel like some people will be quick to judge, and you're fucking wearing our shit. You know what I mean? You're gonna sit there and continue to be one of the people that would have bullied me, and you're just wearing my shit. Like,
right.
you're gonna get fought at some point. Someone's not gonna be very happy about that. It's not me. I have control over my emotions and myself.
Of course, yeah.
But I'm telling you, as someone who can articulate it, that makes me feel rage. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah, I absolutely get that.
But so what are your influences specifically for fighting Godot? What is your sound and where does it come from?
So really, it's the thing that I like so much about having started this project is I do have the freedom to pop out a folk EP where it's just me and a guitar and a harmonica and some banjo, and then I could do some full band like Blink 182, Sum 41 style song about being addicted to your significant other. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I'm just going to I'm going to stop being so concerned about what sort of sound I'm putting out there, and I'm just going to put my music out there. If sometimes it has a Latin flair to it, sometimes it has a Latin flair to it. You know, it's
And
like
all the better.
exactly, yeah. Music is there to be. Let me put it this way: I feel like so many people and so many musicians nowadays are not really reinventing themselves as much as they should or as much as they can be. And I feel like some of the best art happens when you think outside of the box and you go outside of those norms that you're comfortable with.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, in fact, that you bring up a good point, because that's where innovation happens. You know, you don't find innovation in this place where, you know, everybody lives a cookie cutter lifestyle and everything is fine, and you know, you find innovation in the fringe. You find it in the outskirts. You know, if somebody creates something that revolutionizes, I'll say like sliced bread is probably actually the best the best example, because I don't know if you know how hard it is to slice unsliced bread, but it is actually traditionally quite difficult. And the only reason I know that is because when I was a kid, I would get that unsliced bread from the food pantry, and fucking shit sucked to try and cut. Like, it's literally like, now I understand this thing. Now I understand why sliced bread was such a great
Exactly, right? Yeah.
The crust is just so difficult to get through.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's fucking terrible. But you know what I mean? That probably existed from somebody who was, you know, very skilled with blades and engineering, and fucking probably, I mean, either something came through, maybe he's starting to develop fucking arthritis or this, that, and the other. It comes from those moments. George Washington Carver, with the invention of peanut butter, he was not a rich man. You know what I mean? Like, it comes from a place of survival, and then it takes you a whole level up to thriving. You go from surviving to thriving after that innovation, and it allows things to move forward. But it's in that fringe that the best, most quality kind of art and shit is made, which also kind of proposes a different kind of question. So I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like a great rabbit hole to go off of, while we still probably have about one more we can get on.
Sorry, I was.
No, it's all good.
Go ahead.
So Rick
I wanted
Rubin,
to make sure that wasn't my wife trying to get into the house.
No, it's all it's all good. You were it's so funny.
The doorbell rang, and then I was like, now I'm getting a call. Oh, she must be stuck, but it was just my buddy. I'm like, all right, fuck it.
Yeah, a couple of times while recording on the podcast, my girlfriend has come home and it's been like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
But but Rick Rubin, he said, the one thing that's more important to musicians than anything else is 9 to 5. And I'm like, are you fucking? I wanted, you know what I mean? Like, you better be glad that you're not in front of me right now, because if you said that shit, I'd fucking rock it.
Yeah.
I'd fucking rock your shit, is what I mean to say. Because the thing is like, although I can understand from a certain perspective, it is more, you might create somebody that's a little bit more empathetic and able to kind of like understand a more working class mentality. I do believe that that is kind of better for a more well-rounded musician, but not every person who has made great art, I mean, we don't all come from the same place, for one thing. For another thing,
Of course, yeah.
it is not necessarily indicative. Like, I believe in the ability to, you know, kind of introspect and value life enough to write about it, enough to write meaningful music about it without having to go through the fucking kind of shit that I had to go through for it. You know, I do believe that there is no progress without a little bit of struggle. I do believe you have to grind. I do believe you have to persevere. I do believe that you have to kind of be pushed in life to moments where you didn't even think that you were going to be able to make it through, but somehow you just did. You know, those are all important aspects to a musician, because they're to a musician's story rather, because they're also important. You know, it's music is a reflection of life. It's also important, you know, to the music to have, you know, dissonance amongst consonants and a relationship between the two.
Yeah.
But to say that a 9 to 5 is an important, it is important to a musician to have once worked a 9 to 5. I can maybe get behind that, because that just means you're a normal fucking person. But the thing is like, I do believe that there is a whole element in today's music industry that is doing the rest of the industry in. You know, they're putting so much emphasis on the independent artists, making you wear all the fucking hats, mind all your social media. Like, social media is not indicative of whether an artist is good or can engage an audience or not. You know, if you're gonna pick someone who got a million, 2 million, 3 million views off of social media, as opposed to somebody who has been performing for their whole adult life or even before that, then you're gonna put yourself in a position to just be throwing a pile of shit up on stage. You know what I mean? And I'm not for that.
Right.
I do believe that there can be a synergistic relationship between the necessity of what it takes to run a label and be that kind of side of things. But I also believe that that relationship is kind of the first step in it, is being able to develop an artist and give them stuff that they would have been able to do themselves, like at least a chance to fucking kind of refine the sound. You know what I mean? I think of like, the only reason why we have the record by Green Day, American Idiot, is because they weren't dropped from their fucking label and they had some money in the bank from Dookie. You know what I mean? They had that acclaim, that success, that reputation, but all of their shit was stolen out of their studio. That's an entire, they could have, you know what I mean? If that was a band's debut record, oh my God, forget about it. They would have been dropped from the label. They'd be fucking working at Subway, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
And so to take that element out of the equation and force it upon the artist, like, of course, I talked to the booking agent a while ago for Highly Suspect Tech 9. This was years ago, but I'm sure he wouldn't say anything different now. He said, yeah, I have a lot of room for the next Highly Suspect. I have a lot of room for the next fucking great rock band, but I don't have the next great rock band. I have Highly Suspect, I have Tech 9, and they are who they are. But they worked really hard. He told me the story about like when he first met them and, you know, why he continues to work with them. And it's because they fucking grinded. And the other acts that he has that are kind of on, it's like either nepo babies that are so sold on the lifestyle that they don't give a shit about, like, they're basically trying to live like fucking Nikki Sixx from back in the day. They won't go on stage if this, that, or the other thing. And again, we said before, as I'm saying now, that musicians, you don't have that fucking luxury anymore. You're gonna have to work, and you're gonna have to want it. You know, because that's it's fun. You know, I'm glad that somebody got to live like that, but you kind of fucked it up for the rest of us. And that's kind of another reason why I gravitate towards that sound, because I'm taking what I loved about all that music when I grew up with it, and I'm making it into something better. Because it's like, I don't want to. Now that I'm approaching 30 now, I don't want to sell an image that I would be afraid to show to my kid. You know what I mean, or to show to my nieces. I mean, I don't really place that much emphasis over cuss words, because most people, I don't trust anybody that doesn't cuss. You know what I mean? So like, I mean, when it comes to like what message am I imparting with, you know, the future generation and everything, it's not going to be like, oh, don't swear. It's going to be fucking like, you know, stand for what is actually right in this world, and fucking understand that your place, regardless of what it is, regardless if it even pertains to music, still has value and purpose, even if you can't find it in yourself, and even if, you know, you have nothing. Because that's kind of the, you know, the point of the music that I'm making now is I had to find my value when nobody else would see value in me. I had to hold on to that in order to be here. And so my question to you is, how do you feel about the relationship to the 9 to 5? Do you think it's essential to a musician?
I think in
or
Rick
do you
Rubin's
resent that the same way I do?
yeah. In Rick Rubin's defense, I think the way I interpret it, at least, is he realizes that we live in a capitalist hellscape. And unfortunately, the music business is such that if you don't have the money, you're not going to be able to play. And as shitty as that is, like, and I'll like, no matter how good you are, no matter how fucking successful you want to be, no matter your drive, if you don't have a means of supporting yourself, then you're dead in the water.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of what he was saying. And I think it's a sad fact, absolutely. And you're talking to the perfect guy, because I took a 10-year hiatus from music because I was sick of doing the you know, getting eviction notices and eating ramen and, you know, skipping meals and making below the poverty line and stuff. I gave up on music because that's what music got me at that point. I was not making money. So I knuckled down and got a job at the bank and realized that also wasn't fucking for me. So here we are.
Yeah, I mean, so I went into so many different industries, and it gave me perspective into the average person's kind of life and lifestyle. But that doesn't always mean that that was good things. I mean, when I did road construction all over Texas, like, everybody around me was doing fucking meth. And don't get me wrong, like, I mean, I had like my whole, you know, era when I was a teenager, and dealing with very, you know, real problems for a child to deal with. Like, don't get me wrong, I had my coping methods, but at a certain age, you kind of realize, oh, this takes nobody anywhere. This is a way to go nowhere fast. So, you know, and then that's why I also say is, like, you know, thank you to the previous musicians who came before, but if your egos and attitude is what ruined development deals for everybody moving forward, then it's kind of like, I'm taking your sound and I'm reinventing it. Absolutely. You know, but yeah, I mean, it's just very difficult to also kind of like process because, like, had I had any acclaim back in the day, we would have been so ill-equipped to deal with it. And maybe that is like a huge problem. But like, then again, if you're putting thousands of dollars of money into an artist that you're idealistically trying to make more off of, and kind of restart the cycle and do that whole thing. It's well, you can't have it if there's not some investment made in the first place, because a lot of what made, I would say, like Freddie Mercury, or the greatest of the great, what a lot of what made, like, helped them be great and make the records that they made in their prime the way that they had to make them, was the fact that they had at least an upfront sort of deal. Maybe they got screwed in the long run, but there was at least someone kind of saying, hey, your job, your productivity is the music. Focus on that and only that. Then you come home to your bed and you do whatever the fuck you do. But that, with that being lost, I feel like that is a whole, not only is it a chip on my shoulder as an artist, I would hope it was also a chip on your shoulder as well. But it is also kind of the reason why we can't even, like, it's more likely that somebody trying to give you a deal or invest in you as an artist outside of buying merch or anything like that. It's now we're all kind of just like, you know what I mean? That has to be a scam. In 2025, a record, a $500,000 record deal is fucking, it's not, is it unheard of? It is obviously a scam. You know what I mean? And that's fucking sad, because that shouldn't even be remotely the case. Like, if you are a quality artist, like I met and toured with so many fucking great bands that the world will probably never know, because they're not interested in the social media.
Yeah.
Their music is just fucking incredible. Their live show is just incredible. And they have accepted that. Like, they're just this is just what we do.
It all circles back to what we were talking about earlier. They have a different definition of success. And if their definition of success is to go out, play those amazing shows, make a positive impact on people's lives to the point where you're still, romantically reminiscing about them on this podcast today, like that's success in their book,
Yep. And you bring up a valid point. I honestly hadn't even thought of that, but like, bringing it to today and looking back on that, I just wish more people knew about him. Shout out to Zapachi in Florida. But literally, I asked them, like, why did you guys just start, or what? They're like, no, I just don't give a fuck about the social media shit. Exactly. And honestly, like, I mean, the fact, I feel personally like, as a musician, my back's up against the wall. I have to do it in order to move it forward, do that whole thing. And not only that, but I do. The thing is, I kind of understand it to a certain extent. I will never say that, like, I've mastered it or anything like that, but I've gotten good enough at it to a point where I don't feel like I have the right to kind of like sit down when I know kind of what needs to be done. But at the same time, like, I also realize, like, the general disservice that it does, because I do truly believe that social media was kind of like the nail in the coffin to the whole idea of people just going out to a show because that's what you did back in the day. That's why you saw all your favorite artists from all those old ass videos from them still playing clubs. Like, that's why the club is packed, is because people went to shows, bro. It wasn't like fucking $150,000 for a fucking general admission ticket, because Ticketmaster owned everything. It was fucking like, they were a band, the promoter fucking did their thing, and they could pretty much just normally count on people to just check it out and fucking come. Even if it was like a lesser show and there wasn't anybody, there, you know what I mean? There's still probably a bigger turnout than, some of the shit that I've been through in the last couple of years. But it's not even to say that I haven't played to a big crowd. It's just, it's so difficult to market yourself. And that used to be a whole other person's job, or you could actually pass out flyers because people would go, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, just coming back into it now, I hate the social media thing, but I'm willing to try and navigate it as long as I have all the listeners, as long as I have you here willing to fucking be on the podcast and just keep putting shit into the ether. Because my main message for my channel, for this, that, and the other thing, all of it, is really just that I don't want to take away from the music, even if talking is what gets me more views and more content and everything like that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I want the goal to be to kind of bring everybody together, for us to focus on music in some way, shape, or form. Leave politics for the most part. That is also important to the music, and you know, it's a within reason kind of thing. If you're a fucking Nazi, stay the fuck away from me, or I'll beat you with a fucking brick. um, but outside of that, I mean, bro, for all normal people who believe everyone deserves rights.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right.
For everybody else, we can leave politics at the door, because this is where I'm to fucking, forget about all that shit for a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just I'm willing to do the whole social media bit, but we're gonna do it from a place of authenticity. And even if you ask ChatGPT, even AI for some reason is anticipating that the next viable kind of um, marketing is authentic, and that's honestly, I'm so grateful for that, because that is coming right at the perfect time, and I believe that is like fulfilling for bands like mine and bands like yours. We didn't have a chance to get into it, but do you like Shaky Graves?
Oh yeah, I love Shaky Graves.
So that was my first tattoo, actually.
Oh
That's
shit,
his signature. Yeah.
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I met him at Park West in Chicago, across the street from Lincoln Park, and me
Nice.
and my friends
Yeah.
at the time, I think I was 19. We were drinking, and fucking we wanted to be the first ones there, so we got there super fucking early. He shows up in a limo. This was during the was I don't think it was Dearly Departed. It was
No,
I
Tomorrow.
forgot the name of that record. It was the white is the white record.
The white with the
When
flowers
he
on the face.
Yeah, that was when
Yeah.
that was when he was first going into like rock, damn near rock superstardom.
Yeah.
But fucking, I wrote "Birthday Boy" on my chest, and we were like all joking to each other. We are just like, what if I got him to sign my fucking arm and like I got tattooed? And then fucking
Dude,
he's pulled up, and then I have "Birthday Boy" written on my chest, and I'm like, it's my birthday, man. If you sign my arm, we'll get it tattooed. He parts everybody's trying to like clamor him for an autograph. He parts the crowd like the Red Sea.
dude,
And fucking, he's like, where do you want it, man? It's gonna be money for life. And then fucking, I mean, I also got the chance to talk to him because he was the opening act at that show.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't even think I stayed to watch the other band. I just kept going out for like a fucking a cigarette break, and I met him out there a couple of times. I think at least 2 or 3 times. We both went out at the same time for a cigarette break, and so we started chatting it up. And he's got a tattoo dedicated to the story of King Arthur. He's just like a really nice, like very personable kind of guy. He's the kind of person that I wish all the success in the world to. And I mean, his music is it's a whole era in my life. So I actually really do love folk music, and that side of your culture, of your influence, kind of, it definitely resonates with me. So I'll be putting you on the playlist. I also wanted to make a real quick announcement before we sign off here. I will be putting the best songs from everybody. I'm going to try and reach out to everybody personally, and I'm going to be putting a playlist together for everybody to kind of like save to their devices. I'm going to try and do it on all the platforms, at least like the main ones, like what? Spotify, Apple Music. I guess just probably those two. Just
like
for the sake. Is that what?
No, I was just gonna say, like, can you even make playlists on Pandora, or is it still just like a radio station?
I think no, it's just a radio station, and they also I honestly I just checked the payout rate at Pandora. They pay less than even Spotify pays. So honestly, I just if you're gonna ask me what my recommendation is, it's gonna go to Apple Music, or Tidal. The thing is with Tidal is that Jay-Z owns Tidal, and I don't know if I support Jay-Z. But they do pay the most, so that's worth something. However, outside of that, Apple Music pays the most. So if you're going to be promoting anybody to be listening to any service, you ask people what you would want them as an artist to download, say Apple Music, because it's kind of the next easiest thing down from Spotify. So at least for now. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to get with everybody and put together a playlist of the best stuff, as genuinely as I possibly can from everybody that's been on the playlist. But this has been Michael Bielle of Fighting Godot. You should definitely go listen to them. And what is your next release? What are you guys promoting here?
So we are promoting right now. We're actually playing in Andersonville's Midsummer Fest in Chicago here. We're playing the Catalpa stage. You can follow us on Instagram at Fighting Godot for more information. And the other really cool thing is I've personally teamed up with this amazing organization, Punk Rock Saves Lives, to throw the first annual Punk Scare. That's all one word. It's a play on words. It's like Punk Scare and Punk Scare. And it's
that's cool.
Yeah, dude. It's a Halloween themed fundraiser for Punk Rock Saves Lives. So we've got Fighting Godot, we've got The Ugly Lovers, we've got Feels Like Karma, Naked Brunch, and Guardrail, all playing at G-Man Tavern on October 24th. It's going to be Halloween themed, so follow us for more information and as we start making more announcements about it.
Absolutely. No, that's great. I want to try and make it out to that.
Yeah, dude, come on through.
If I absolutely can, I would love to. I mean, one of my goals for this year is to kind of book a Halloween show because I've never. Yeah, it's always been like the day after, the day before, the day after. Nobody gives a fuck about Halloween. So
Right?
Like,
yeah.
anything beyond that, it doesn't matter. And it's funny too because even when Halloween lands on like a weekday. It'll always be the weekend before that everybody gives a shit, and like as soon as the actual day passes, nobody cares anymore. It annoys me because every day is Halloween for me. I love the spooky shit,
right? Yeah,
because you know what I mean. I trust a guy. I trust a guy wearing studs and ripped t-shirts and that bit. I trust that a lot more than I trust anybody in a Patagonia sweatshirt. You know what I mean? Like
totally, yeah.
Ted Bundy looked like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's true.
But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and sign off because not because we couldn't probably end up in another rabbit hole, but just because we both are a little bit tied up with stuff to do. But I would love to have you back on the podcast.
Thanks,
just as a baseline, I've been trying to get everybody to do an hour for the first time, and then when we have you back, we could probably let it go a little bit further. But yeah, it's been awesome having you here. We were able to hit a lot of points that I've kind of always since this podcast started wanted to hit. So I mean, I'm glad we're resonating with each other. And just bro, if you need someone to fill in on a show and we can do it, let us know. And community is how we move forward, man. So I appreciate you being on.
In today's climate, the only thing we have are the people right next to us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I would say so.
Yeah.
Well, all right, everybody. Take it easy. Thanks for watching.
See you later, man.
Take it easy.